it's not even right, is it? Just hitting just like bullets all day. It's like this.
We gotta go down at the other end into
it. We want to do a speed contest today. We're gonna feel it out. Look at how Nicolai does this like shoelaces. There's about 7 knots here. Why do you do that?
just 8 long.
Do you just slip them on? Do you lace them and unlace them every day?
And it's just so long and I gotta do it. I hate looking at. Look at these. Also,
that's like serial killer shit.
Is it? Yeah. Actually, somebody told me that before. All right, so I'm gonna take you through. So, 8 long laces. So we guys gonna do it like this, nice and tight. So, like that, perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, and perfect.
How'd you guys get connected to you? All right, we are at Panther National. I'm here with who I like to label as my children, Nico Højgaard and Ras Højgaard. We're gonna do a deep dive into their bag today. So, you know, if you guys are gonna watch warming up, Dylan did an awesome warming up with them. They did some stuff on equipment, which was really, really cool, but there is some nuance to their bag. They are twins, but their bags are actually starkly different. There's a lot of different things going on in the bag, so I wanna kind of explain probably to you, because I probably know more about your equipment than you do.
Probably.
And to the people, they're twins, but they're not. So we're gonna find out right now. Boys, how are you?
Very good. Very good.
Yeah? It's good to see you.
Yeah,
I missed
good
you.
to see you. I missed you too, Johnny.
It's been like, 2 weeks or whatever, but whatever. Okay, so we're gonna start with the golf ball. So I've always been a big advocate that the golf ball, would you guys agree, is probably the most important part of the whole bag. It's kind of like the glue that kind of holds it all together. So both Callaway staffers, so he is in what we would call a tour-only Chrome Tour X Plus,
spinny one,
which is the spinniest golf ball on tour actually, because we tested it.
All right.
It's spinnier than Tiger's ball. And he is in the Chrome Tour X, which is a ball you can buy at home. So from what I know about you guys' launch conditions and this and that, you are always looking for spin anywhere you can get it.
Exactly.
Right? You would be considered a flat, low launcher. But then when you get, the funny thing is when you get certain clubs in your bag, you can hit it straight up in the air. So we're gonna get to that. But you're more mid-launch, mid-spin, kind of higher ball flight than his. So talk to me really quick. I'm going to go to you first. So like the Chrome Tour platform as a golf ball, since coming from TaylorMade where you were before, like the transition into the new ball, how was it? And like the ball that you have now, what do you like about it?
I mean, it was pretty easy going from the TP5 ball straight into the CX ball. Spin-wise, I was a little bit low on spin at times, especially when I came over here to play, and that's where they came up with the idea of the plus one, the spinny one.
Right.
And ever since I put that in the bag, it's been working very well. Especially the short game wedges. My wedge game got immediately way better. Okay. And then I was a little bit in between for a season where I went back to the X ball Raz is playing, and because I wore it a little bit, I felt like I was hitting the ball shorter, so I wanted extra length.
Right.
Then I lost my spin and control, and I went back to the plus ball again, and now I'm gonna stay with that ball. It's super good, and it does exactly what I want it to. I can flight the ball, I can launch it, but I always have the spin.
And the interesting thing, we're going to talk about your irons too. When you switch to those irons in combination with that ball, and I'll explain the nature of those irons and that ball, actually really interesting combo. So for you, Sonny, Tour X, you've been in it basically the whole time. You're not a big ball switcher. So talk to me really quick just about Tour X. Like I know you picked up some ball speed and this and that, but I think from the testing, I think it wasn't necessarily a speed thing. It was just a consistency of spin, especially like on the off-speed shots. Like when you took some speed off, the ball was kind of staying in your hand.
I think for me, it's a very easy transition going into the CSX ball. Spin's always been, at times I would be on the low side as well, but I feel like with the CSX, I'm very much found a good balance of having good spin to, certain shots, and as you said, taking distance off clubs, the spin drops quite a bit, and I felt like the CSX has sort of kept it up a little bit. So, when going into the wind and I'm taking a bit of distance off with the 8-iron, it doesn't just go through the wind. It still creates a spin that makes it land soft on the green. So for me, that's been the big difference of of going to this golf ball.
And the same reason why Rombo switched into it literally was it was down to a 160-yard pitch shot that he would hit that came out like a knee-high fastball and stopped, and then obviously it was on the off-speed shot. So typically for the folks at home, like on a golf ball, when you take speed off, it loses spin and it kind of gets out of your control, right? Where this ball, I call it, it kind of tends to float when you take speed off, which is for better players you kind of want. Like when you don't want it to knuckle, you kind of want it to just kind of fall out of the sky.
Exactly. It's that fine balance of into the wind that, it doesn't just fly too aggressive. It still lands soft, but it also downwind. You still want to have enough spin on it, to still land soft as well. So I feel like I found a good balance here of downwind shots and into the wind shots.
So then we're going to talk about now, which is an interesting thing when it comes to your irons. So you guys cracked me up because when we first, you guys first joined Callaway, and I was in Dubai with you when that all started, right? So you guys had like these one-off Apex MB Rusty, like they were on the internet, they were everywhere, right? And they were really, really cool irons. Played those, and then you guys kind of both at the same time, and I don't know who had them first. I think you had them first, and then he got all pissed off and wanted them too, kind of situation. So from a center of gravity standpoint and the way that these irons are designed, they're actually starkly different than what you had before. So you went from like an MB that had kind of a long arm, which means like a long blade, doesn't rotate as much, the toe's a little flatter. So anytime that you get a higher toe, the head's gonna wanna rotate like this. So these are completely different animals. And these ones spin less than the blades. So transferring into these, was it more of a turf interaction thing, or was it a numbers-based thing that you started hitting them? And because you work with Scotty Putney, I think, on those ones.
100%, yeah.
Okay.
For me, there was a bit of turf interaction and consistency, because with the blades I used before, at times I would get a very aggressive flight into the wind, and that would be a bit surprising. You're standing there with a 6-iron and you're trying to hit it 175 meters, but suddenly it goes 182, closer to a normal distance, and that's hard to trust. If you start seeing a few of them, so we came up with the idea of trying a few other irons, and this one popped up, and it's, for me, consistency has been better here, and it's turf interaction. I'd say the other one, at certain grass would be a little better feel to it. But as an overall, I think these has definitely improved my approach game.
Well, the cool thing is, I'm gonna get to you really quick, Nico, but if you look at this iron, so you guys had on your MBs, which I would call like a rolled leading edge. So the leading edge kind of rolled this way, right? Which is awesome in certain conditions, but like on stuff like this, it's actually very hard to get into turf. Actually, it almost feels like you're hitting driver off the deck sometimes. It kind of skips, right? There's more bounce up front, where this has our sharper leading edge. So what happens for the folks at home, so if you guys look at the sole of this thing, you can see that there's some leading edge relief here. There's a little bounce on the back edge. So essentially what that's doing for both of these guys, and I know that, is they're actually kind of living about a groove higher on the face than you would with your blades, which is kind of a more consistent strike. So whenever we put anybody into this iron, the hope is that they're living about a half a groove or a groove up the face because of where it's interacting with the turf, which you wouldn't really think about. But a groove up the face for you guys is actually a big deal. It affects the spin, it affects a ton of stuff. So Nico, your brother has these shiny new, was that an envy thing, or did you just want them, or was it a performance thing?
We played Zurich Classic last year.
Okay.
And it was around that time I changed. I felt like I was a little bit not playing particularly well. My iron play wasn't great. I tried his, and it just felt great through that Bermuda turf that was at New Orleans. And I thought, yeah, why not try it out? I mean, I'm not playing particularly well, so let's give it a go.
Great time to change, yeah.
You never advise people to do that, to be fair. When you're not playing well, don't start changing too much, because you don't know what's working or not working. But anyway, I went into these irons, and my approach play has been quite consistent. I mean, stats-wise, the last year has been very good, and my stats have gotten better, and so that's been a positive. And I like the feel of them, like the interaction in the turf, and certain turfs. Obviously, it's going to dig a little bit on a turf like this, but in general, it felt like it was just more smooth through the turf, and been very, very happy. Also getting slightly more help in the longer irons.
Right, just to get the ball, which you love, because you can
get it up. I can hit a little bit higher, and you need that option nowadays to hit a 4 and 5 iron up in the air when we play these firm conditions at times, and getting into US Open or even Augusta, you gotta get the ball up. But they're so easy to flight as well, right. And I felt like that's what's so important. I get the options. I can do everything with the irons. So obviously very happy since I changed to it.
So it's kind of a funny story. So when these things came out, they actually came out on the LPGA. It was a couple of LPGA players that had them first, and then I think as an option, Scott Pudney put you in. I mean, you were kind of the gateway drug for everybody else. Like we weren't even going to have an opportunity to get them. Like on the U.S. tour, everybody's like, we want them, but we can't get them. You got them. Then they became popular, like amongst all the golf junkies. And then he got him, and then everybody's like, oh, it's like, screw it. Like, we're just gonna start. So now we all got sets now, which is pretty cool. So thank you for your
I didn't even know that
service. Yeah.
I didn't even know the story behind it.
It was supposed to be a limited, like they were gonna guard them. They were gonna release them slowly on the European tour. They were really never gonna make it to the U.S. tour. Then you got him, and then he got him, and then everybody in the U.S. tour saw his, and then it was a problem. So now everybody's got him, which is amazing. Okay, I want to talk really quick about. This is cool about kind of a fitting thing, but. You're in money tapers, 130 money tapers, KBS. You're in LZs, which are completely different planets as far as shaft's concerned, but it speaks to the way that they launch it. So I would say he has no problem making a normal swing and getting the ball in the air, right? Like you can get it up naturally. You actually have to think about it. Like if you're gonna hit one way up in the air, you have to do, it's almost like hitting a draw. You have to constantly like, okay, I gotta get this up in the air, where you can just hit it harder and it'll get up. So his shafts and his irons are kind of meant to drive the ball down. So it's kind of to flatten the ball flight out, where yours are meant to kick it up. So another thing to think about when it comes to fitting is, obviously the combination of the golf ball, the turf interaction on the irons, and then the shaft. So like their irons are basically built into their DNA. They're perfect for if somebody like me grabs Nico's iron and I didn't know him, I would say this guy's probably a low spinner, low launcher. Like that's how I would. And that's essentially what you are. That's not low spin, and for him, if I saw his, I'm like, that's somebody that's trying to keep the ball down. So that's one of the stark differences that you guys have in your bags. All right, after a brief rain delay, we just got absolutely dumped on. So we're just gonna continue the party here. Okay, so we covered the irons for both of you guys. We covered the golf ball. So just a quick recap on the irons. So you are in X-Forged, 4-through pitch, KBS Money Taper 130s, and then he is in the same setup with the LZ 6.5, I think.
Yeah.
You were in 7.0s for a second.
Yeah.
Now you're in 6.5.
6.5.
So now we're gonna get to the wood. So mini driver guy, short time with a mini driver. I think it was at the Open last year.
Yep.
It seemed like a cool idea for a minute, then it wasn't a cool idea. I'm gonna start with you though on this. So you go driver, you're big, you've loved the Elite so far.
Yeah.
So just thoughts quickly on the Triple Diamond. New shaft, new head.
I think for me it was the look straight down when I was looking at it. It looked really nice.
Right.
And that's a big thing, getting new equipment. You got to be able to look. It's got to be able to look good, and then feel straight away. I hit some balls in the DP final week at Montgomery with the European guys, and we saw straight away there was a lot of speed, consistency. So it was straight into it.
Okay. So as far as like a driver's concerned, numbers wise for you, like if you live at 10 to 11 at like 24 to 2800 is like optimal for you, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, if I would probably be slightly lower launch than that. I'll probably be around 9
okay.
Normally. Can get it up to 12 if I really need to, but
that's not natural for you though. You have to think about it.
I have to think about it.
Okay.
But there are certain times where I'm starting to able to hit it higher now. I've teed up and I really let it go and release the club, and I can get it up there, and the speed obviously goes up quite drastically. But I tend to be around 9 launch, mid 20 spin.
Okay.
And yeah, it feels so good.
And that's one of the misconceptions around fitting. And you get in the fitting bay, and people will be like, I want to be like 11 launch at like 2100 spin, obviously because the ball goes far. Tour golf's completely different story, right? You're looking for, everybody kind of lives in that. Like 2100, 2200 is like on the razor's edge of too low, right? So if you guys have a driver that lives 23 to 29, somewhere in there, like when you hit that little squeezy one, that's kind of where you want to live, right? Okay. So for you, you're still working into Elite because you're hitting the piss out of the eye smoke. So as far as driver numbers for you, you're a couple of degrees higher launch. I think you're like more at 11, 12.
I say I'm about 11.
Okay.
I can easily go higher than that, but there's not really any reason for me to do that. I think where I'm the most efficient is about 10.5, 11 degrees long.
Okay. And then again, mid 2000 spin.
I'm closer to 3,000. I'm about 2,800 spin.
Okay.
But
you turn it over a little bit too, though. I mean, it's
sometimes.
sometimes not on purpose.
Maybe not on purpose.
Okay.
No. I like to be around 2,700 spin. Just a little bit more spin gives me a little bit more control. And then obviously sometimes when you hit that high launch with a bit of draw on, you know, the spin drops and, you know, you're very efficient with the distance and everything. But, you know, for me, that's a good area to be because, you know, if I have not enough spin, the ball can just go sideways for me, especially in crosswinds. So, yeah, 27, 2,800 spin is where I'm at.
Because that's kind of where, like, when we were working with Xander, his numbers are kind of similar to yours, actually. I mean, because he's like, you're like what angle of attack for both of you? You're like 0 to 1, and you're like 1 or 2 up, right? I mean, you're not 5 up or 6 up. You're like down closer to 0. So, what he wanted to know is when he tried to turn one over, it wasn't going to get lower than like 2,300. Like he didn't want that high tomahawk that was going to spin at 18. He wanted no part of that. So, kind of the same idea for you, right? Okay, so 60 TX 10-say 1K for you, been in that shaft for a long time, and then you just switched into the Ventus Black TR, absolute brick house, but pretty close to what you were playing before.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you said you have one coming.
I got one
Security blanket?
Exactly. I'm gonna try it this week again just to see how it feels. I've always played it, and I felt like I've had some good spells with that shaft, but this driver is very close to be extremely good. So stats-wise, it's not been great this season. So far, strokes gained, but the feel I have for this one feels really good.
So you feel like when you're humming, that's going to be a good piece. Okay. So now we're going to get to the second section of the bag. You're a 3-wood guy, so you have the. I think you had triple diamond the last time I saw you. The Elite triple diamond, still the same head. You got a new shaft in there, I think.
Gone into this one here.
Okay. So which is a little bit off-brand for you. I mean, this shaft is the VF. Obviously, Tiger's got this in his club. This has actually become pretty popular. Tiger's got this in his driver.
That's the reason why I put it in the bag.
Yeah, same. But this is a little stiffer profile, probably a little closer to something you would see in his bag.
Right.
You know, stiff handle, stiff tip, all that kind of stuff. So as far as like performance with a 3-wood, you guys get to 16 degrees in different ways. He kind of gets a higher lofted in square, and then you don't have a problem making the face go that way. So is that a preference? Like, do you like to see the face? If I handed you a 15 at +1, are you going to look at it and be like, it's going too far that way?
Yeah, I can easily see it, yeah.
Okay, you like to see it a little bit square to maybe even a little open.
Yeah, exactly, especially when you got that much loft on it. So I'd rather have more loft and then down in loft. Right. So a head that's 16.5 and then put it down a half a degree, that's better for me.
So it's open and you still see loft, and you don't have a problem seeing it go a little, like the face, people would say that's closed. I call that square, but like if it's in +1, it doesn't bother you.
No, it's okay. For that one, it's okay. I've always been similar to Nicolai. I would have a head that's got more loft and then put it down so it looks more square. Right. But that one's been okay because that's obviously in +1, I think.
Right, and these heads this year specifically, they actually sit a little bit more open, just in neutral.
For me, that's a good look because then I feel like I can just release it a bit more, rather than having something that looks a bit left, and then I tend to kind of.
Right, try to get it out this way.
Hold it too much, and that's usually not a good thing to do.
So 3-wood numbers for you guys, like low, I mean for you like 3-wood 16.5, like low 170s, mid 170s if you hammer it?
Mid 70s, yeah. I probably would say around 75,
and
76.
Then mid 3000s in spin, all that kind of stuff. And you're kind of the same, aren't you?
Same, I'm mid 70s as well with the 3-wood. Okay. And got about 3600 spin.
Okay, because you guys are both what I would call, like, you guys both stay on top of the ball. So like, you know, especially with a fairway wood, you guys like to go down and get it as opposed to try and help it up. Like, you guys like to get the club into the turf, theoretically, when you're hitting it good. Okay, so then we're going to the third part of the bag, and then we're going to get into the wedges after that. But you've been in the Apex UW for a long time.
I have, yeah.
You're experimenting with some other options in that part of your bag. So that would be like if we're going to do this in yards, that's your 250 to 260 section of your bag, theoretically?
It is, yeah. So for me, UW has been very, very good when it's downwind and, you know, slightly help off either side.
Right.
But as soon as I get into the wind, I'm struggling for it. You know, it's spinning too much.
Right.
And just not getting the yardage out of it that I want. I mean, my forehand could almost go the same yardage into the wind. So for me at the moment, I'm looking for something that, you know, can be as good as this one downwind, but slightly
A
stronger.
little flatter into the wind.
Exactly.
So that's where you start bringing in 5 woods, 7 woods, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And then really quickly on your irons, kind of the same section of the bag. So like you will go into a chunkier 3-iron option. So you have the Tide Fusions, you have the Apex Pro. You've had Apex Pros in there before. Seen you've had Rogue ST Pro driving irons. So when do those kind of find their way into the bag? Like when you, like on a link style course or?
Yeah, links go for me. I would always have a 2-iron in the bag. You know, there was situations where we played in Mexico a couple of weeks ago, and you know, the wind could get up, and you know, 2-iron is a nice option to have. I played one of the rounds where I took the gap wedge out and put the 2-iron in. So it's just playing around with it a little bit, because again, the hybrid there is good downwind, but there's a couple of par 5s there where you're in between. You know, you got that 225 meters to the green, and 3 where it seems a little, you know, a little too much. But then the hybrid is just going to spin too much. So I was playing around with a few things there. So yeah, that's where the 2-iron comes in play. And for me, it's mostly off the tee than it is hitting it into a green, because this one won't get in the air, no matter how hard I try. So that is, you know, a club from the tee box.
That's Tide Fusion's that's a fun piece, yeah. And then we've mentioned before, sometimes you'll throw a chunkier 3, and you have a really cool one in there right now, which, you know, a normal person looks at this thing. We'll get a look at it on camera really quick. So he's got an X4, it's 3-iron, which you don't see a lot of these.
Actually down in loft, so it's close to a 2-iron.
So it's like 19 degrees.
Yeah, I don't know the loft exactly, but my caddy got it built because he wanted to see it, and it's a good option for when we get to the summer and get back in Europe and for links golf course. But I just always felt some of those chunky irons, they're a bit too quick, or this one here just feels like more of a normal like iron feel, like a strong 4-iron, and obviously comes out pretty low, that one, but it's an off the tee club again. That's all you need from it.
That gives me nightmares looking at that thing. It's just not enough golf club there. So as far as, there's a couple of shots I want you to hit just to kind of explain to the people. So I want you guys each to grab a 7-iron for me. Grab your golf ball, the one you play. So you're in Tour X and you're in Tour X Plus. And I just want to hit 2 stock 7-irons each for me. And I just want to explain to people what Nico launch and spin looks like and what Rasmus launch and spin looks like, just so they can get an idea with the numbers. So we're on quad here. It's one thing to talk about, it's another thing to kind of show it.
Yeah.
And make sure you hit good ones here. That'll make me look bad. I don't want to have to do this over.
Probably goes a little bit shorter than normal.
Okay. So 133 ball, 78.25 spin, and that launched at 13. So the launch is actually in a pretty normal pocket for you.
Yeah.
Spin's probably a little higher up. Just you get 140 out of a 7-iron.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Do you know if I go full tilt on a 7-iron, I'm getting like 126. So that means you hit your 7-iron. I don't even want to say the number, but 7-iron spin for you. Typically, it's like the number 7,000 for the iron is like that's
and then like a little bit. I probably always tend to be a little bit above that.
200 or 300 RPMs.
Yeah,
above
exactly.
It. Okay, but you're a lower launch player.
Exactly.
So
I don't mind being 75 with a 7-iron sometimes.
Okay, so hit one more for us.
Yeah.
That's a good strike there. Did it pick it up? Okay, relatively the same situation.
Exactly.
But it's consistent. Jesus, you're only like 1 RPM's a spin off and 0.1 in launch. Boy, you're pretty good. You should turn pro. All right. Let's see you. So I would say, from what I know, I've seen you hit a million balls. Like you're about a degree. If you hit a 7-iron, if I was going to guess, you're going to be probably 15 or 16 launch. And maybe a slightly lower spin. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I'd say so. Maybe today it might not show because
you're into the wind. And
we're into the wind here, so I might have a little bit more shaft lean here, but yeah, a normal one would be a little bit higher than that, I'd say. Let's see what we get there.
Oh, he's faster.
mean, also
14,
spin
it's
less.
1,000 spin less. Ball was turning over and it's faster, so obviously he's way longer than
I
you
was
are.
surprised with the spin.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he is, but if you want to play with
Let's try one more. I mean, the spin was maybe a couple hundred low there.
Where was that on the face? A little on the toe side?
No, it was okay.
Out of the middle? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hit
Well,
one
again,
more.
Again, at the moment, you still a bit more lean to it here
Right.
because we're into the wind, but let's try and see if I can.
Okay, but this is pretty on brand though, to be honest with you. Like, so you're launching it about half a degree higher than your brother does. The spin's down 1,000, but that could be for multiple different reasons. But ball to ball, like if you're hitting his ball versus your ball, that's gonna go. If you hit the same 2 shots with his ball, it would be pretty close to 7,000.
Yeah.
Grab your drivers.
Oh.
Grab your preferred golf ball. Grab a tee.
Wet grips.
Yep, let's not make any excuses. 4 or 5 golf balls. This is what we would call the family gauntlet.
I'll start this time.
Okay, but this is what I want though. This is like the twin competition. So like you just got in an argument. You guys are kids. You want to pummel your brother. And especially you, because the perception that he might be a couple miles an hour faster, but I think with the way that you swing it, there's some meat on the table. I want you to find that.
Are we going for carry? Are we going for ball speed?
No, this is a ball speed thing. Nobody cares.
Ball speed thing. I mean, there's no way.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll go carry then.
You should be up there with carry because he's obviously using a no spin golf ball.
Well, let's just do carry then.
But that all comes down to setup.
Well, I don't know. Just get it out there as far as you can.
Ras, come on. Just hit it. God damn it.
Well, you just got to hit it better.
Spin on that one.
186 though, so 313 carry. It's not as efficient as the other one. Are you making sure you're grabbing the right golf ball?
Nah, that was probably Nick's golf ball, I think.
It wasn't. It wasn't. $186, 317. Right now, 320. Okay, let's get one more.
Yeah. That's all I got.
I don't need his ball to.
So 185, 320.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
God. Okay. Well, that's over with.
It's not as like ball speed was not that high, but
What are you talking about?
I mean I can easily get it higher.
I know you can, but like
Try and launch a little lower.
189 at 331.
I think you're more efficient if you launch it a little lower than that.
Right now it's the carry, isn't it?
$338. You're leveling up on the carry. That was crazy though.
Pure flight there.
12.7 at 2,300
Yeah.
spin. Like that's as optimal.
If I could get the spin down there.
I just hit a little bit higher on the face there.
Anyway,
Surprise!
he's better looking, but we're gonna go to the chipping green and go hit some. I'm gonna talk about wedges really quick, and then we're gonna wrap this up. So let's go to chipping green. Now we're going to talk about wedges. So both in Opus, both kind of went into Opus right away. And you guys had the S6 in when they came out with the prototypes. You were one of the first people to get it. Interesting kind of like, you're in kind of, I don't want to call it wedge whack-a-mole, but you're trying some different bounce options. But you've been in the tee the whole time. So let's just talk about you really quick. Very, very low bounce wedge, leading edge sits like right next to the ground. So like when you're looking at especially a lobber for like shots like this, like what kind of catches your eye? I mean, what are you looking for?
I mean, the most important for me is when I open it up, I want the leading edge to be dead flat on the ground, because I feel like we're playing turfs where you got to be able to open it down, really trust you can hit the club down in the ground and use it. So I'm starting to use my 56 quite a bit as well on standard chips.
Right.
I feel like that's better through the grass, but for more like high spinny shots, I tend to lean towards my lopper, and we always grind a little bit on the backside here on the sole to when I open it up, it sits better.
Okay.
So yeah, I really like this Opus 6T bounce. Yeah.
Are you ever playing square? Like if you're gonna hit this shot from here, are you ever squaring that up? Or are you hitting that with an open face?
I definitely square it up here because it's especially into wind as well today. You want it a little bit drivey forward. So
okay.
You want to be able to
go in. And into Bermuda, like if you're like we're in Florida right now, because that's where some of these wedges can kind of get, like when people start switching wedges, typically it's for the grass, right? So that's where 56 here comes in handy. But does it ever get grabby with that?
Yeah, at times when you get a really grainy lie, and there's places out here where it just gets stuck at times. You can see right there someone has been there and it's just sticky. I tend to go to a 56, open it up on the toe a little bit, and it just slides through the grass easier.
Just add a little bit more bounce to the shot. Okay, and then for you've gone from like C, you got S and X in right now. So like, what are you looking for right now?
No, I mean I've been using actually been using a C
grind.
Yeah, for most of the time since I changed to Opus. It's been good all around, from all the different grass, if it's firm, if it's soft, if it's grainy. But at the moment, I'm just exploring a little bit more towards Nicolai here with the
T. Okay.
Having a little sharper leading edge, and when you sit it down and like put it down like this, you feel like you can pick it off from a very, very tight lie. So for me, it's kind of that in between there. I'm not a guy that likes to change my equipment too much.
Right.
So I think for me, it's finding, a setup where I can use it for the grainy lies, I can use it for the more standard lies, and then just hold on to that.
So this wedge, like for the folks at home, the T grind and the Opus line puts basically all the ownership on the player. So like it doesn't have a ton of help. You can hit it with some speed. It's for players that want to hit it with some speed. Most shots around the green. So like hit a couple of shots for us. So this shot, like your brother, are you hitting squared up shots with this, or are you more of like a...
Yeah, I would be towards square as well. Just so that it comes out a little quicker into the wind.
Okay. So basically same result. So one of the things, like if you talk about some of the players that play like the Vokey T or the Opus T, for example, you're making sacrifices somewhere. So like typically it's in the bunker, right? Is where you're, and that's where the 56 theoretically could come in handy out of the bunker, right? The wedge combo is the same. The only difference, I guess, from your set, you play the same shafts in your wedges all the way through, and you go to a slightly different profile from money taper into the, and that's just a slightly softer profile than what you have.
Yeah, it's just to create a little bit more feel, maybe a little bit more spin, I think.
Okay. So the last thing I'll ask you about your wedges is, like, as far as gapping is concerned, so like what kind of gapping, yardage gapping between each wedge? Is it 12 yards, 15 yards?
I mean, the thing is, the lob wedge is usually a club that we use from anywhere from just around the green here up until 100 yards.
Right.
So there's a lot of options for the lob wedge.
That's why 60 kind of doesn't matter how far it goes. The priority is not for full shots.
Exactly. So then for me, a normal 56 would be about 106, 107 meters.
Okay, so 120 yards.
120 yards. Yeah. Just under that maybe. And
okay.
And then same thing with the gap wedge. Just add another 10, 12 yards there.
So for your whole set, going maybe from four iron to lobber, you kind of work between 12 and 15 yard gaps in there. Are you a little tighter than that?
12 is probably good.
Okay, and you're kind of the same, right?
Yeah, I'd say I'm around 12, 13 meters.
Okay.
So around 15 yards, yeah.
So so he goes 52, 56, 60, and you go 50, 56, 60. Like why not 52? Because your pitching wedge are the same loft essentially.
The reason was I wanted to flight the wedges more.
Okay.
So I want so that's the reason why I went to a 50. Was I just wanted to be able to flight it a little bit more, hit it softer, and then fly it instead of having almost too much spin on the 52.
Okay.
So that was the reason behind it. I've had it in the bag since.
Now you're just used to it.
Yeah, I got used to it.
Okay. And then as far as the putters are concerned, You guys have been kind of in the same, you've switched a little bit. You've been kind of in actually you just switched too, didn't you?
Yeah, I switched to the new version, yeah.
So you're in Jailbird. I haven't seen your, I haven't seen you since, you're in a like the new Jailbird.
Exactly.
And then you're in like a Daytona, aren't you still? You're in the same putter you've been in for a long time, but it's the AI milled.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And as far as putters concerned, do you guys get emotionally attached to your putters, or is it a?
Growing up, we would switch putters a handful of times during the year, but for the last maybe 2 or 3 years, I've been holding on to 2 putters pretty much.
You know the funny thing about putters, and especially like being on tour now for 3 or 4 years, you can fit a player within an inch of his life with a putter, right? Like you could be on the truck, they put you on Quintec, and the numbers are dialed, and you're walking away with like the perfect putter.
Yeah.
And then you'll go play with it once, and you'll always go back to something that you're. Like, I'm a big advocate for, like, if you hit it out of the middle and you can aim it, I don't really care what the numbers say. Because if you love it, you're gonna make it, sometimes you just gotta make it work,
It's
right?
about feeling comfortable over something. Like, it looks good to you and you feel comfortable over it.
Right.
I mean, we could probably go up and, again, get fitted to the perfect putter, and yeah, numbers and everything looks good, but at the same time, you have to go out there and feel comfortable over a sliding 6-footer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like I remember when we were at, I think it was at Scottish last year, maybe in 23.
23, yeah.
When Seamus put you into that Jailbird.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like you wanted to check it out because it was kind of like the hot piece of conversation was the Jailbird.
Yeah, Wyndham and Ricky played.
Yeah. So, but part of that was like you wanted to be in the cool putter, but then you just kind of liked it and putted really good with it. And
Look at that one.
woo! Anyway, boys, I got deep love for both of you. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thanks for indulging me in my gear dorkness. But I'm Johnny, Raz, Nico, Panther National. That's as deep into their equipment as you're ever gonna find. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We're out of here.